Hi everyone, Sonic News Raccoon here. Yep, that's me. And today I wanted to tackle the multiple stories we have of 4 actually confirmed Sonic game leaks I've received, alongside new updates we've gotten to these stories literally just now, as of the time of editing and releasing this. Plus, new info connecting one of these already confirmed leaks to the recently trademarked title, Sonic Blitz. And this isn't just 1 or 2 game leaks. No, there's multiple console, Steam, and mobile games here. So there's a plethora of Sonic titles in this video. And let me just say right off the roof of the bat that these ladies and gentlehogs are not your average leaks, but what I'm going to call super confirmed leaks. Not only because they come from an extremely reputable leaker who's literally never once been wrong ever, but I also don't know how, as I didn't show the gameplay in them or anything, but Sega themselves have even struck me down over these exact leaks. That's right, and almost all of you didn't get a chance to see them because of how swiftly I was taken down by the Sega ninjas who watch my every move, day and night, 365 days a year, so much so that when I look into my closet, Aaron Weber is standing there intensely staring at me, considering copyright striking my mere existence with a blade he wields. Which this takedown I got is extra strange because my video also didn't even feature any gameplay of Sega's, just fan game footage like most of you know I exclusively use in about all of my videos. And even with that, they still claimed it was their gameplay and marked the entire length of the video as the copyrighted material, even going as far as afterwards sending me their streaming guidelines for official Sega games. And these not only don't apply to me because they specifically say in the terms they're only for the people in the great country of Japan, but also since I didn't use any of their gameplay, they are literally claiming and taking down fan game content just to try to keep the info I'm covering today out of public knowledge. That's how far down the legal gray area they'll dive just to try and silence me. Which, as much of a Sonic fan as I am, it's pretty publicly well known by now that I am in no way a Sega bootlicker or hogsucker. And while I do give them credit where credit is due, I'm not exclusively negative or anything, I'm actually generally pretty positive, I also have been super critical of them in certain practices over the years. So needless to say, these games we're covering were not only already confirmed by my source, but now that Sega has struck me down using seemingly illegal means, that's where the title of being super confirmed comes in. It's also worth noting that a couple of these came from the same set of leaks as the Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi ones, which we even got gameplay footage of at the time, so it's literally impossible for these leaks to be fake. I'd bet both my left and right nut on the validity of these. So I'm going to cover everything I know in full, and it's sad that very clearly Sega does not want the news of these game releases to get out there. But frankly, that's just too bad, Mega Corporation. Sorry, bud! And the main reason I'm disclosing all of this is because of my resilience, I will not be able to use any official graphics, text, or even the same font they use as the presentations or gameplay leaks, so I'm going to be walking very carefully on legal eggshells because I want everything to be above board. I want you to be able to see this video, and while it would be a little fun to get to wear a suit and take a second trip to Japan, I'm also not necessarily looking forward to going to court with this massive Japanese company. All that to say, everything you're going to see in this video will be original and created by me, as well as my editor, because I am out of the country. I need someone to help me out, to represent the info as best as I can, as I think I owe that to you guys, being someone who mostly covers the Sonic news like this that others are frankly way too scared to touch. And understandably so. Getting a strike on your channel is not fun. And that's something I assume most of you can understand. Scary, spooky corporation! Now, to get into it, this scoop originally came from my slime, my slat, Midori, aka Ryan, or as I call them, Gondori, because they've once again deactivated their account, and why, it's not really clear. The most likely theory is that he deleted it himself before he got banned for all the DMCA strikes he was getting, and on like a constant basis, thus, he wouldn't be allowed to ever return if he got suspended. But, with him gone, we'll never really know for sure. And obviously, I archived everything before he left, so no worries on that front. I've had quite a lot of people, even IRL, tell me that there is a new Midori account that took the handle after expired for Ryan from Bronx, and they are posting new supposed leaks. However, with no verification and it only having 30-ish followers, it's currently unclear if this is really Ryan or not, which, until it's confirmed, I wouldn't trust anything posted by this new one, especially since Ryan Dory used to post clips and tons of evidence whenever he shared a leak. However, this new account is just posting random trust me bro posts without any evidence, presentations, or gameplay. So take anything posted by the current account with a grain of salt until more concrete evidence comes out regarding what they're posting. And with that out of the way, let's get into the details of one of the first ones we'll be seeing this year in 2026 as we prepare for the release of a new mainline Sonic game that's been brewing for the past 3 years or so. And Kishimoto has been cooking and hiding ever since you guys scared him off Twitter by looking at his likes. This is all your fault. Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to go look at a man's likes, okay? Let him just be, all right? Let him be.
Story 1, a new Chao Guardian game.
I'll keep the first one simple and talk about one I'm actually pretty excited to see him play, and that is Chao Guardians. I've briefly mentioned this one before, but haven't fully gone in depth to it like this. And this title, interestingly enough, appears to have some tie-in with the next mainline game, as it's believed from Kishimoto's many tweets about this next game that there will be some serious ties with the adventure format. However, not necessarily Sonic Adventure 3, but likely Sonic Adventure with some subtitle after that. A very common occurrence for sequels that are far removed from the ones predecessing it, and the reason being so that it doesn't alienate people who haven't played the other ones. However, this game is also exciting because it will have no microtransactions or ads, so Sega isn't going to use this as a trap for whales to go transfer all their money to the Sega Sammy Corporation, but rather it will be tied to Netflix's gaming service they're trying to promote, which so far has been with mixed success. However, with Mania on mobile being one of the biggest ones thus far, and that being a game that came out from 2017, this could be a major title for them, as Sonic fans are rabid about their exclusives, with many even paying for Apple Arcade and keeping their subscriptions to this day solely to play Sonic Dream Team, which is a good game, don't get me wrong, but for $7 a month and releasing in December 2023, even with the free month trial, that's a total of $91 if you never cancel. Something that's definitely not cheap, and I'm gonna be frank, I don't think $91 for just for Sonic Dream Team is really a good deal if you're not playing any other games there. And also, let's be real, most people are either subscribed to Netflix or at the very least know somebody who is, since unlike watching shows, you can share accounts to play games and do it at the same time as other people, so you're 100% able to get a friend to help you out on this. That meaning, Chao Guardians will be far more accessible than Dream Team, which I too am about to give up because I just realized I've been paying for Apple Arcade this whole time, and the only Apple thing I have is an iPad. I'm an Android guy, so what am I doing? We know the game will be highly customizable and have mini games, but the specifics of how you'll customize your Chao and what mini games there will be are still unknown for now. It'll definitely be much more than Sonic Adventure 2's level of customization. Actually, there's basically none in Sonic Adventure 2. And updating on a somewhat regular basis to add new mini games and such, something Sonic Rumble is doing, and that game isn't even out in the US yet. So we'll have to wait on more details for Chao Guardians. Just keep in mind, this game's probably going to be pretty f***ing awesome. And we have a lot more leaks to cover. I gave you a little tease with the first one, but before we get into the next few ones, you are sick in the head and need help. And that's where therapy comes in. You possibly don't even know something is wrong, but your life has the potential to be increased tenfold. And I mean, I get it. I struggle too. It's literally the sole reason I hardly upload. I feel a stress and sadness that I can't explain and just become completely avoidant to this platform as a whole and basically all my social medias. Like, I barely tweet. However, with talk therapy, you can work out these problems and overcome them. And if you don't have insurance and hundreds to throw at therapy on a frequent basis, BetterHelp could be the affordable option that's right for you. Fill out a questionnaire and you will match with a therapist in as little as a couple days, and you can easily switch therapists at any time with no extra costs if it's not a right fit. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is there to help you if you have any questions. You can get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Sonic. I know, it's a pretty great URL. And sure, it helps me, but therapy could be something that helps you too, especially if you're a fellow autist and struggle with a lot of the same stuff I do. So check it out. And thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Now, back into the leaks. Here's an interesting one, and the only Sega leak I have to cover today that isn't directly Sonic related, but still something I think would interest you guys nonetheless. And I want to quickly cover it before we get more into funny blue rat news. So Sega is planning a new movie franchise for one of their titles, and I'll give you a few seconds to guess, as outside of Sonic, they have two other major hitters that could both do well in a movie format. And actually, I'll just say it. It's Persona. there's also a Persona head attached as producer of this project, just like how Iizuka is credited and involved with the Sonic movies. And I actually think talking about this and showing part of the slideshow Sega made is one of the main reasons Sega was able to get my video taken down. So I obviously can't show the slideshow, but I already got the strike, so just trust me, bro. In that leaked presentation, there's a film reel icon in text citing Toru Nakahara, based in Burbank, which, for those out of the know, Burbank is the more suburb city right next to LA. And Toru is not only the SEO of Sega, no, not search engine optimization, but senior executive officer, as well as the same role in Sega Sammy, the Japanese side of the company from 2015 to 2021, as well as an attorney who appears to be currently practicing, and a film producer since 2021. And that's the more important one to keep in mind. The main reason I say all of this is, judging by this presentation, it appears he is producing what appears to be either a feature-length movie or a short film, which our guy, Ryan Dory, also tweeted a picture of him writing, "The best to ever do it at Atlas, and it's not even close." So if I were to assume, based on his history and the series' extreme popularity right now, I'd imagine this would be a Persona-based movie or series, which there already exists animes of that exactly. However, the series is still yet to get a full feature film adaptation, and with the US and international markets sold into Persona right now, this could be the perfect opportunity for a Hollywood crossover that would rake in some serious cash for Sega. Now, for reference, the presentation that this part of the info comes from was created in January 2024 and is obviously in Sega Turtle use only, so it's possible a lot has changed or been updated since that. And I'm not gonna front with you guys. When it comes to Persona as a series, I've only played Persona 4, so I don't know too much about the story of the other games, which I assume that regardless, this would be an all-original story rather than a direct adaptation of any existing game. Something I know fans might be mixed on is I still hear people talk about how they wish Sonic Movie 3 was a one-to-one retelling of Sonic Adventure 2, an aspect that, in my opinion, would be super nostalgic, sure, but wouldn't really make for a good movie overall, especially since we all know SA2's story. There would be no surprises at all. And the way they approached Sonic 3 was what I think was the best way possible for a film like that to be done, especially with the incredibly fast pacing and including surprises that got even longtime fans along the way. Something that couldn't happen if it was a direct adaptation, not even including that it would have no correlation to the previous two films if they went the SA2 adaptation route. But this isn't about Sonic 3, so let's move on to the next leak, because it's one of the most interesting Sonic ones here, and it's been kinda hotly debated online. Now, let's get into Sonic Blitz, the recently trademarked game title Sega filed for. So there's actually only two real possibilities for what this one is, and you guys in the comments can tell me which route you think Sega's going to take for this one after you see the two sides of the story, as I think it's about 50-50 in terms of which one appears into reality, like Maria in Shadow Generations, appearing only to break Shadow's frail little heart once more. Now, I will go into the proof for each theory separately, but in short, this will either be a fighting game like Street Fighter or a Mario Strikers styled soccer game. Two very different branches, but both we know are being worked on by Sega right now. So we'll start with the soccer game first, which Ryan Dory, in the same thread discussing what we now know as Sonic Rumble, mentions news of, quote, "A Sonic Chao game and a new Sonic sports title are both currently in development for mobile devices." Which, don't worry, I know that hearing that will scare you. But like how Rumble was originally only for mobile and is now going to Steam, and depending how well it does, maybe even console, this soccer title likely will follow the same path. And this description is very vague, it doesn't even mention soccer, but alas, a random user asks more specifics in the sports title, writing, "From what you know, does it sound like an Olympics game title or an original mobile spin-off?" And Ryan Dory, again, responds vaguely with, "It is a soccer title for mobile," which I also want to add on that this info is older, and again, at the same time, we thought Rumble, aka Toys Party, was a mobile-only game, so just keep in mind, the aspect of this coming to Steam and other platforms is extremely high. The real mystery of this project is whether the name Sonic Blitz is for the soccer game or something different, and that something different being a fighting game featuring Sonic and friends. Which, to show both sides, let's get into the mindset and look at the supposed proof that fans are using to say Blitz is actually the fighting game. So, right after the trademark for Sonic Blitz was filed, Fidel noticed there was a job posting that had a lot of interesting details in it, directly connecting it to Sonic Team. So the first of three screenshots show they are, quote, "looking for development staff for a 3D battle action game." And this is a job listing for for Sega of Japan, which more of these larger titles are created. The listing also specifically writes below that it's a job in the section of Sega that's, quote, the second business division, second development department 1. And that probably means absolutely nothing to you. But if you take your stubby little fingers and look it up online, you'll see that this is the development division that's the home of, drumroll, Sonic Team! So a big deal if true. However, with the phrasing of them looking for specifically someone with experience in action games, it's also possible that this is just for the normal mainline 3D Sonic title. And I get it, while everyone I know is hyped about the potential for a new Sonic fighting game, also keep in mind that nothing is solid or confirmed when it comes to the existence of that. As cool as it would be, the only proven project for now is the soccer title. 3D action and 3D action battle is often what Sega uses to describe the actual, mainline Sonic game. So while a Street Fighter style brawler would be awesome and super swag and cool, there's also no evidence for it being that. And also Sonic Smackdown is really cool. Just play that. The previous working title we had for the soccer game was, quote, Super Sonic Strikers, which it's safe to assume, like Toys Party, is a placeholder, because like how that game essentially just used the Toy Story logo and retrofitted it to Sonic. And I'm not dissing, it low-key goes hard. The soccer title is literally one word off from Super Mario Strikers and one fat lawsuit away from it too, which I highly doubt Sega wants to go to war with Nintendo, especially considering as someone who's in Japan right now. Sonic, surprisingly, has next to no popularity or presence here, while Mario and Nintendo, especially Pokemon, are literally everywhere. You can't avoid them. So the name Sonic Blitz very well could be that fix to keep the funny blue rat from being buried 6 feet deep by an angry Italian plumber. Well, it's still possible Sonic Blitz could be a fighting game, especially with a name like that. We'd also need more solid evidence that one's even in production before we start running around like a headless chicken clucking about this game. And I'm not being pessimistic, that's just me trying to keep expectations somewhat reasonable, not only so we don't have a case of mass disappointment in the fandom, but also so we're not spreading literal disinformation, getting everyone hyped up for a fighting game that doesn't even exist.
All-Stars Tennis.
Which, speaking of mass disappointment in the fan base, I'm going to go through this next one pretty quickly because I think I speak for at least 70% of the audience when I say this next title could definitely be cool, but at the same time, it's something I'm not particularly super hyped about or highly anticipating. And that's a new Sega All-Stars Tennis title. However, the title in this presentation is just, quote, All-Stars Tennis. Now, this will feature an all-star cast of Sega characters, or a possibility, albeit an unlikely one, of an all-star cast of Sonic characters. All we know is some tennis balls are going to be hit, and I highly doubt it's a tie-in with the hit Smash Mouth song, but in current year of Big 2025, nothing is truly for sure. With the Sega Super Game Initiative underway and one of the titles, Shinobi, being released this year, it's possible this tennis title will be a way to spotlight all these currently releasing IP revivals and have all these characters Sega wants to bring back in one place. And a collab like that would feel pretty natural considering it's not the first time it's been done before. And the last game to do it, which was so far back on the Xbox 360 and PS3 lifespan that it even released on the PS2 as well, so almost 2 decades ago, was a huge hit, massive success, and a new entry in that series, at least for me, would be a welcome addition, albeit I'm not freaking out over excitement. Oh my gosh, guys, a new tennis game.
Super Monkey Ball.
So the last title I'll touch on, and super quickly because there's not almost any info on it, is you know how Super Monkey Ball is one of the few game series to ever exist that actually benefits from gyroscope controls? Well, it's been over 15 years since a new mobile title came out for our spherical monkey friend, and there's a new one in the pipeline, but it's also a bittersweet catch, as while there's news that a new one is in production, and smartphones are extremely powerful now, so it will probably be amazing and way better than the ones from 2000s and 2010, it will also be an Apple Arcade exclusive, a membership that I do have and enjoy, especially the lack of ads and microtransactions, but as I mentioned earlier, is quite expensive and limiting to those who can play it. So I completely understand the frustration behind the paywalling of the subscription, even though it does help offset the cost of developing premium mobile games that without ads and in-game purchases would be a huge financial loss and hurt the quality of the game. Pros and cons, but I do understand both sides. Now with that, a lot of really cool leaks, and we're doing watch parties and custom Fortnite games in my Discord server server, which I, on the other hand, don't paywall, and anyone can join for free below in the description. It's not limited to members or anything. I wouldn't even recommend being a member. I don't make member content. Basically a tip jar. In my server, I also notify of video releases and write an exclusive personal message alongside each one I put out. And other than that, the only socials I'm currently on are Twitter, and I post stories on my Instagram, but mostly Twitter. So follow if you still use the platform. Check out the sponsor if you think talk therapy is something that could benefit your life. And with that, I'm completely back. No more breaks anytime soon. And why not go check out another video of mine? Lots of love and peace. Peace!
Subscribe.